Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. 皆さんこんにちは、Alicia です。In this whiteboard lesson, we're going to look at some essential social expressions in Japanese. Let's get started. Okay, let's take a look at the vocabulary for this lesson. The vocabulary for this lesson includes a bunch of different phrases for different situations. So first, let's take a look at this group. These are expressions which mean excuse me. First is すみません. 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 This means excuse me. すみません. The second expression here is ちょっと待ってください. ちょっと待ってください. ちょっと待ってください, which means excuse me, or literally, please wait a minute. This part here, 待ってください, means please wait, and ちょっと means a moment or a little. So in this case, we can understand this as please wait a minute. Also, please notice the pronunciation of this. ちょっと has this stop in the middle. So not ちょっと, but ちょっと. That little stop is very important. We see the same thing here with 待って. So not 待て, but 待って. ちょっと待ってください. Please wait a minute. Okay, the next group is saying yes. How do we say yes in Japanese? First, we have はい. はい. In this case, we have it as a question because we can use this as a response to something else. はい? This is kind of a very direct way of saying yes in English as well. The second expression we have here is なんでしょう?なんでしょう?なんでしょう? Which means yes, or literally, what is it? What is it? So this なん is like saying what, and this でしょう is kind of a more polite way of saying is it. So what is it? なんでしょう? You can use this as a response when someone's trying to get your attention. はい, meaning yes, or なんでしょう, which is what is it? Okay, let's move on to the next group. The next group is saying thank you. So the first expression here is ありがとうございます. ありがとうございます. ありがとうございます, which means thank you. ありがとうございます. The second expression is どうもありがとうございます. どうもありがとうございます, which means thank you very much. So adding どうも to the beginning of this phrase makes it a little bit more polite. どうもありがとうございます. Thank you very much. You may also hear some people say どうも to sound very casual, which just means thanks. Thanks. So we have ありがとうございます. Thank you. どうもありがとうございます, which means thank you very much, and どうも, which just means thanks. Okay, let's move on to the next group. Next is saying you're welcome. So the first expression here is どういたしまして. どういたしまして. どういたしまして means you're welcome. This is the most direct way to translate you're welcome into Japanese, but it's not so commonly used in everyday conversation. Rather, we tend to use the second expression more. The second expression here is いえ, いえ, which means no. So in a giving and receiving situation, you'll probably hear both sides using this expression a lot. いえ. So in the case of the gift giver, when they give someone a gift and the other person receives it with ありがとうございます, for example, the person who gave the gift might respond with いえいえいえ, instead of directly saying どういたしまして, which may happen occasionally, but in lots of everyday situations, the person who gave the gift will simply say, no, 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 which kind of feels like, it's no problem, it was no big deal, don't worry about it, right? We do the same thing in English. So although we have it here listed as you're welcome, this word literally means no. So you can use it in a similar way when you're giving things to other people. Okay, let's move on to the next group. Next is I'm sorry, ways to say I'm sorry. So first we have ごめんなさい. 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 ごめんなさい means I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So use this expression when you make a mistake, you cause a problem, you bump into someone, for example. ごめんなさい. I'm sorry. The second expression we have is すみません. 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 Which also can be used to mean I'm sorry. So maybe you remember the very first expression we talked about was すみません up here, excuse me. So this does literally mean excuse me, but there are cases where we use this expression to mean I'm sorry, just as we do in English. We're going to see an example of this in the dialogues later, but kind of a way that you can keep them in line in your mind is to remember that ごめんなさい is when you want to apologize for something, and すみません is kind of more like an interruption. So sometimes, yes, you interrupt someone and you need to apologize for that thing. So you can kind of choose whichever one is the most appropriate for the situation. But if you want to express that kind of apology, mistake sort of feeling, in a lot of cases, ごめんなさい is the best. If you're simply interrupting someone or maybe you bump into someone on the street, you might just say すみません. So there are some situations where one does sound a little more natural. We'll talk about this later. Okay, let's move on to the next group. Next is saying it's okay. It's okay. The first expression here is いえ, いえ, which we just talked about in the You're Welcome section. So いえ, which literally means no, can also be used to mean it's okay. So again, when you're giving someone a gift, for example, and they say, oh, thank you so much, you can say いえいえ. It's fine, no problem, no worries. You can also do this if someone else makes a mistake and they say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for my mistake. You might respond with いえ, which means it's okay, like no problem, no big deal. So いえ is a great word to use in this situation. The second expression here is 大丈夫です. 大丈夫です. 大丈夫です, which means it's okay. It's okay. So 大丈夫です literally means it's okay. This is a great word to know. You can use this in lots of different situations. For example, when you go to the convenience store and they say, do you need a bag? You can say 大丈夫です, which means it's okay or I'm okay. So 大丈夫 is a really versatile word to know. Okay, now let's take a look at some sample dialogues that use these expressions. Okay, now let's take a look at some sample dialogues that use these expressions. First, when calling for someone's attention after they dropped something. So maybe you see someone on the street, they dropped some kind of accessory maybe. What do? You say, すみません, すみません, which means, excuse me. And the other person responds, はい, はい. So in this case, すみません is the best choice, which means excuse me. We would not use ごめんなさい in this situation because ごめんなさい is used to apologize for something, to say I'm sorry for something. You're not apologizing, you're simply trying to get someone's attention. So, as in English, it's most appropriate to say, excuse me, excuse me. And in this case, the person responds with はい. So it's a very kind of direct way to do this, but in this case, you're on the street. It's just someone that you don't know, but you're wanting to kind of show that you're using your attention to talk to this person. はい? Yes? What is it? So, すみません. はい? This is a very natural way to get someone's attention and to respond on the street. Okay, next, let's take a look at the second one. When expressing your gratitude to a friend who has given you a souvenir, you can say, ありがとうございます. ありがとうございます. Thank you. And then, if you want to be very direct with this, you can say, どういたしまして. どういたしまして. You're welcome. So this is a very simple gift-giving and receiving situation. ありがとうございます. どういたしまして. Or you might hear, いえいえ、どういたしまして. Using the two of those together. Okay, the final example. When apologizing after bumping into someone on the street. ごめんなさい. ごめんなさい. I'm sorry. ごめんなさい. いえ、いえ, it's okay. So, in this situation, we've used ごめんなさい. ごめんなさい to mean I'm sorry because you made a mistake. You maybe bumped into somebody kind of roughly and maybe hurt them or confused them or something. You want to apologize. So you say, ごめんなさい. There are some situations where you might hear people also say, すみません. Maybe if it was just a quick brush or something, they might say, すみません. Excuse me. I'm sorry for that. And then the response is, いえ, it's okay. Don't worry about it. ごめんなさい. いえ, 大丈夫です. You might hear this used too. It's okay. No problem. So these are some examples of ways that you can use the expressions we covered in this lesson.
Do you remember how to say, excuse me? すみません. すみません. And how to say, excuse me, literally meaning, please wait a minute. ちょっと待ってください。ちょっと待ってください。Do you remember how to say yes? はい。はい。And how to say yes, literally meaning, what is it? 何でしょう。何でしょう。Do you remember how to say thank you? ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。And how to say thank you very much? どうもありがとうございます。どうもありがとうございます。Do you remember how to say you're welcome? どういたしまして。どういたしまして。And how to say you're welcome, literally meaning no. いいえ。いいえ。Do you remember how to say I'm sorry? ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。And how to say I'm sorry, literally meaning excuse me. すみません。すみません。Do you remember how to say it's okay, literally meaning no? いいえ。いいえ。And how to say it's okay? 大丈夫です。大丈夫です。
Great! In this lesson, you learned some essential social phrases in Japanese. Thanks for watching. I'm Alicia, and I'll see you again on JapanesePod101.com. それじゃあ、またね。Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.